Hi and welcome. The big new feature in Lightroom Classic, I think at the moment, is the texture slider, and this is something that I'm going to be using an awful lot. In portrait photography, for example, it allows us to add much better skin softening. In the past, many have used negative clarity, which is better than nothing, but it does affect the shadows and the contrasts, so many times it's not ideal. The texture slider just affects the details in the image. So on the negative side it gives us much better softening, and on the positive side it gives us much better detail enhancement. The question, is it like sharpening or clarity? Well, the answer is yes to both really. It's like a hybrid, I suppose, of sharpening and clarity. So let's dig in and see how it works. And don't forget, if this is your first time with LiveLink training, please visit my website, and if you scoot to the bottom of any page, just give this link a click here to subscribe to my YouTube channel. That would be really helpful. Thank you very much. Let's get on. Okay, let's first look at a bit of skin softening with this portrait. So I'll just zoom in a little bit so we can see it a little bit better. And the skin's not actually that bad but what we'll try and do is just show you the difference between the clarity and the texture. Now if we wanted to soften this skin even more, we could use the clarity, and we could use negative clarity by pulling it to the left. Now if we do that, very soon you'll see it makes a right mess. It goes really over soft and the colours start changing. It's not good. So we're really limited, so we could put a little bit of negative clarity in just to soften the skin a little bit, and that's fine, but it still looks a little bit false. So let's put that back by double clicking on the arrow head, and we'll now try texture. So again we're going to use negative texture, and I'll take it all the way to start with, and you can see that when we get to 100% it's still not great, but it's better than the clarity was. So now I can really put that somewhere like that, and I think that is a much better skin softening. I think it's absolutely cool. Right, now you can see that it does affect the lips and the eyes and things that we might not want it to affect. So is there anything to do about that? Well, yes there is. So I'll put that back to 0. And what we can do is we can use the brush tool. So we can access the adjustment brush from up here or press K on the keyboard. And now I've got my texture slider, I'll just zero that. And I'll leave a little bit of exposure on the positive side just so I can see where I'm painting. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint anywhere that I think needs it, anywhere where I think there's skin. So we'll go around. We've got the nose and go up to the eyes. There we go. And we'll go up and into the hair a little bit. Now you can see if I went too far and I like blanked out the mouth like that, then what I can do is if I go down to the bottom of the panel, there is the brush tool. And on this I've got 2 brushes I can define, different sizes, A and B, but I've also got an eraser brush. So if I click on that to select it, I get a little brush. I can make it bigger or smaller with the square brackets, just like in Photoshop. And then what I'm doing is I'm now erasing that effect. So I can take it round, and now I'm cutting through that effect to the image underneath. And as you'll see, I'm no makeup artist. I'm making a right dog's dinner of this, but you would take a little bit more time with yours. But that's just if you go a little bit too far, then you can use the brush tool, the erase section of the brush tool, to deal with it. And now I'm going to click back on brush A, and we'll just make it a little bit smaller, and I'll just finish off under and over, a little bit in the hair. Oh, we've got a neck, so we'll do a neck while we're here. There we go, and oops, I've gone a little bit far again, so I'm going to get the eraser and just take that off, just nibble that off there. Right, so what this is doing now, this is showing me exactly where I've painted. So I don't need the exposure now, I can just double click that to drop it back to 0, but I've now identified that area. You can see this little dot here. This is telling me if I hover over it, it shows me a red rubylith, and it'll show me the places I've missed. But you can see that it actually goes over the eyes as well. So yeah, I think I've done, oh no, maybe I haven't. I needed to just adjust it, but you can see what I mean. But now what I'm going to do is get the texture slider, and I'm going to slide it to the left again. And you'll see that I do get a realistic, and I think a really excellent skin softening. Absolutely fantastic. I think that's cool, and I'll be using that, I will, a lot. This slider, I think, rocks. Okay, let's have a look at the opposite now. Let's have a look at positive texture for enhancing the detail. So again, let's do the same kind of thing where I'll try the clarity. So if we wanted to bring out a few of the details in here, let's just zoom in a little bit. And if I push that clarity, you'll see that it certainly does start bringing out, but you can see that it's also quite badly affecting the contrast and the colours. You can see it's gone really dark. No, I'm not so keen on that. But what about texture? Let's have a look at that. So you can see that texture, all of a sudden I'm bringing out, I'm up to 100 now, and I've actually got some really cool texture showing. Now let's have a look. So we're going from there to there. And obviously 100 is probably a bit much, but you can see it's a much cleaner, a much more organic type of, it's a type of sharpening really, and I think it works absolutely brilliantly. And again, if we put that back to 0, and I wanted just to enhance the detail of a small section, then I'd go up to my adjustment brush. I'll leave the exposure on a little bit like that. I'll have a bigger brush, and I'll just paint in the area that I might want to give a little bit of a lift to. So I'll set this foreground post here. There we go. So now I know where I've actually painted, where the area is that this adjustment's going to affect. And if I hover over, you'll see the adjustment, that little dot. If I hover over that, it brings up that red rubylith again, which shows me exactly where I've painted. And now I'm going to take off the exposure, and then I'm going to increase the texture. Oh, look at that. I do like that. Okay, let's use the clarity. Well, yeah, you can see it's really tinkering about with the contrast quite a lot, and it goes quite HDR-y at the end of it, with some halos. So we'll put that back to 0, and I'll just try the texture again just to show you. I think that is a much better effect. So we'll just zoom in a little bit, we'll close that down, and we'll zoom in. And we can see now we've got much better texture actually showing all in the area that we've just painted in. Well, that's it. I do hope you found it useful. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, or even better, leave me a comment in the more area underneath the video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the very next video. Bye for now.